Coming up on iOS today, Rosemary Orchard and I are ready for the holidays, and we want to help you have fun with your family this holiday season. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Join more than 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/iOS. And by Imperfect Foods. Imperfect Foods is catching the food that's falling through the cracks of our food system by sourcing quirky yet delicious foods. Right now, Imperfect Foods is offering our listeners 20% off your first 4 orders when you go to imperfectfoods.com and use the promo code iOS. Oh, ho, 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 hello, and welcome to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, watchOS, tvOS, HomePod OS, oh my goodness, all of the OSs that Apple has on offer. We love to chat about them here on iOS Today. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And I am Rosemary ElfYourself. That doesn't quite work. I tried to cram the word elf into my surname. It didn't work. Let's pretend it was fine and move on.
We will pretend it's fine and we will move on. We've got a show to get to, so we will kick things off. This is an episode about, look, whether you're getting together physically in person with some of your close family members or with maybe some long distance family members, or you are doing things from a distance, it's great because it's time to get together for the holidays and have some fun. So we thought we'd talk about some ways to play and have fun with your family this holiday season. Our first app, our first game, our first activity is all about sketching. SketchParty TV, available for $3.99 in the App Store. I love this game. We used to, it didn't even need to be the holidays. You know, we used to have people over and we would play SketchParty TV as just part of our regular kind of gets-togethers with friends. And SketchParty TV is a pretty simple app in its sort of setup. You basically are playing Pictionary. You draw different things and people try to figure out what it is. And in fact, Macworld, as a review of this game, said, if you like Pictionary but hate cleaning up all those scraps of paper, SketchParty TV is the game for you. Because that's pretty much how it works. It's got this clever sort of joining system where everybody can play on their device. You set up a room and you can all join together and see everything. It's a really great game on the Apple TV in particular. And so you can have multiple teams as well and reorganize those teams. Rosemary, have you played SketchParty TV before?
I have, but it's been a little while. But it's just so much fun. Like all of these drawing games are, because you know it's the fun of the drawing, right? That's involved, which makes it even better. And I really like the choosing the word list as well. So you can be really mean and choose difficult words, or you can kid-friendly movies, things like that. There's so much choice.
Absolutely. That's a great one. It's sort of Pictionary style game. Let's talk about Just Dance Now. This is one I've never heard of, actually. So this will be new to me.
Yeah, so Just Dance is a great game. It's available on Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, the iPad, the iPhone, the Apple TV. It's available on everything. And so there's a good chance that you'll have come across it before. And the idea behind Just Dance is you hold your phone and you do the dance moves and it will try and score you as you do it. So you pick from some of the songs available and you do what it shows you to do on the screen. It's a pretty great way to get everybody actually moving. because as we all know, after eating large amounts of food, our inclination is to go hibernate, and sometimes a little bit of movement is good for you. I should note some of the songs can be quite fast, so make sure that you've not had too much to eat first. Give yourself a little bit of digestion time, because otherwise you're going to be moving pretty darn quickly and pretty vigorously. But it's so much fun, and especially if you've got kids that you want to tire out, this could be a pretty good way of doing it. There's a whole bunch. The advantage of the iOS app is you get to choose from a few more songs and so on, but they have everything in there. You can use laptops, all sorts of things. If you want to do it with just an iPhone and iPad, you can actually scan a code from the iPad and use your iPhone as the controller, or you can use your iPhone as the controller on the Apple TV, or whatever combination of devices works for you. Basically, there's so many options.
Okay, see, that was the part. Of course, I'm familiar with Just Dance, but I wasn't aware of how they pulled this off on iOS, on iPadOS and tvOS. So that makes sense. Now I get it. Definitely might have to download that one and have a little dance party this holiday season. This should be fun.
Exactly. Yeah, and especially if you're traveling anyway, then it's easy enough to just take your iPad with you, and you can still get to play this.
Yeah, isn't that one of the beauties of this? If you are traveling pretty far, board games take up a lot of space, and these video games, Rock Band and those kinds of things would be way too much to try to carry with you. So the idea that I just bring the device or devices I was already going to bring makes this very easy. This next one, there are so many Jackbox party packs that are available now. They release new kind of packs every year or so, and these games are incredible. It's available for $24.99, which may sound expensive, but I promise you it is not. First of all, if you go to the store and you try to buy a board game, it's going to cost you around $24.99. Secondly, you get multiple games that have so much replay value that you can be playing this for ages and ages. Even if you buy an earlier version of the Jackbox Party Pack, that's okay, because later on, you'll still be able to play so many of those games. I think I have 2 or 3 Jackbox Party Packs that I've purchased, and each of them has games that people love. So it'll be like, oh, can we play this from that Jackbox Party Pack and this from that Jackbox Party Pack? I know I'm saying that really quickly. There are sort of Pictionary style games. There are, it's kind of hard because there's so many different games that you can play. The Pictionary style games are the one that I remember the most, but there's trivia, that kind of thing. Lots of different games you can play in Jackbox. And I believe, Anthony, we played some Jackbox Party Pack games for an episode of TWiT's Shelter in Place show.
Yeah, that, and also I think we did one for TWiT Plus members also, or Club TWiT members.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that's worth checking out as well if you'd like to. Tell me about some Apple Arcade games that we can play with the holidays.
So I just went through looking for a couple because finding Apple Arcade games is pretty easy. There's a game section in the App Store. Go check it out. If you don't have Apple Arcade, just remember it's only $4.99 to subscribe for a month. So if you've got a lot of downtime coming up, then $4.99 for 1 month of all of those games is a great deal. But Sonic Racing from Sonic, as in, Sonic the Hedgehog, is one of these options. And it's really great because it's something that other people can kind of watch as well. When you're in that sleepy state after dinner where most people are quite tired, but you want to go and have fun, you can do that in single player mode, or you can get some people involved and actually play with multiplayer mode as well, each of you using your own devices. And it's just a racing game. It's really easy for people to pick up. There's no complicated rules or any of that. Now, if people are a bit more awake, I'd recommend SongPop Party because you have to guess the song. I love it. So good. And everybody likes trying to do it because they're, oh no, but this was definitely that song. And well, the lyrics were in both songs actually, but the song that they're looking for is this one, and so on and so forth. So that is a great option as well. And then there's also one for people who are up for something a little bit different. If you perhaps would like to have a bit more Disney in your life, then there is Disney Melee Mania, which is a 3 versus 3 throwdown. And you've got Disney characters, Pixar characters, and all sorts. And essentially, you are going to have a battle, 5-minute melee of quickfire games of fighting on the fly. And you have to fight smart. That is the really good part of that. So, you basically just get to have some fun. And why not? There's lots of different game modes with it as well, which is great. So that's just a couple. Definitely, if you are looking for some games to play, have a look at Apple Arcade, because $4.99 for a month, and then you can cancel it afterwards. There is no lock-in for a year or any of that. Then this could be pretty good value if you're looking for some games for the holiday season.
Nice. Yes, I absolutely agree. This next one is, I think, a classic. Many people will be familiar with it. It is one that folks can check out to. It's more for kind of, maybe it's family that lives far away and you want to send them something to make them chuckle. It's called ElfYourself. And it is one of my favorites. You basically take a photo of yourself or another person that you know, and you can put them into a hilarious scene where they're dancing and, singing along to music. And it makes this beautiful kind of holiday video card that you can send out. ElfYourself has existed in so many different iterations, and it's really fun that it's an app now to make it a little bit easier to create. And yes, you can add up to 5 faces in a single kind of video situation. So you can do the whole family dancing and jamming along, which is a lot of fun.
Yes, definitely. It is excellent. And of course, you can take a great picture of a family member and elf them instead of elfing yourself, and then send it to them and keep the incriminating evidence for next year.
These next two I wanted to mention because we actually played these during the pandemic with my family back home in Missouri. Milton Bradley has a whole lot of board games, and Marmalade Game Studio has brought a few of them over to iOS, including Monopoly and Clue. And these are full-featured games. I guess it's Hasbro now. I don't know if that owns Milton Bradley. I don't know how it works these days. But here's Monopoly. You simply tap play, and then you choose online with friends. And once you do that, you choose create game. And now I've got a room code 96246 that I can tap the share sheet button in the top right to share with other people. So I could send that to my mom. I could send that to, my aunt, my uncle, whomever. And I better quickly choose the dog before somebody else chooses it. What's cool is that on top of the, if you just want to play with one other person at a time, then you can also use AIs to fill in those other spots. So I was able to play, my partner, me, my mom, and my sister all played Monopoly together. And what's kind of cute is that in the game, there are a few interactions that you're able to do. So you can't fully chat. It only lets you send kind of like canned messages. And so it'll be like ha or I'm upset kind of a thing. And so that was a lot of fun to try. And in fact, let me see. I don't know if I add 3 AIs, I don't know if it's going to let me do that. And I love that there are 3 different types of games that you can play. So almost nobody actually follows the rules of Monopoly, but there are the classic rules. There's the quick rules, which says skip over all tax, chance, and community chest spaces. The game ends after the first bankruptcy. You can build hotels after 3 houses instead of 4, and players must leave on their first turn in jail. Then you can also set up custom rules. So if you and your siblings invented a really cutthroat version of Monopoly, you can go in and make some adjustments to the game. And they have some pretty popular ones, including the ones that I think a lot of people invented, where if you landed it on a certain space, you'd get all of the money from the community chest or whatever.
If you land on the jail without being sent to jail, then you get the money from community chest cards and stuff like that. Those are fairly common house rules for people.
Is there an option for me to flip the board?
There should be. One of the things I like is it's got this fun 3D look and feel to it. It's a little stuttery in the video, and that may just be the video that's coming back to me, but on my iPad, it's very clear. it moves very nicely. Everybody's rolling to figure out who's going to go first. And it looks like the race car is going to go first. So here in the top left is that chat button. And you can see there's hello, well done, yes, no, yikes, hurry up, thanks, wow, oops, grr. A lot of asterisks or a lot of symbols, sorry, and goodbye. So you can only tap those. That keeps the game kind of safe because there is an online version where you can just get paired with people randomly. And you can see that you're moving through. I love the animations for this game. It's got a lot of content in it. It's a lot of fun to play. And if you, like me, dislike Monopoly because there's hardly any skill to it at all, and it's mostly just about the roll of the dice and which cards you draw, then you may like the fact that they have Clue. Clue is a lot of fun. I played that as well, and it's got a lot of fun music to it and the animations as you are kind of putting together who the murderer is. So you can check those out. They're $3.99 a piece in the iOS App Store, and there are in-app purchases, but it's just to get like special versions of the game boards. So it's not really a purchase that you need to make. So pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I feel I should mention for anybody who doesn't like Monopoly, the board game, there is actually a card version of Monopoly called Monopoly Deal, and it's a lot more fun. There is, still a massive element of chance because it's all about the luck of the draw of the cards, but you can also hog your cards for a while and then steal properties from other people and things like that, which makes it a little bit more fun. But sadly, that one's not on the App Store. But if we're looking for board games on the App Store, then people can't forget Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride is an excellent board game where you have to try to build railroads. And your aim is to build railroads to connect all the cities that you've got, build the longest railroad for extra points, and so on and so forth. This is a great one because you can play it on your own, or you can play it with other people remotely or in person with sort of passing an iPad around. And it's also only $6.99. As Micah mentioned before, if you go and buy the version, like the box of this game, it's about $25. Well, this is $6.99, and you can buy additional boards in the game for example, Ticket to Ride France, Ticket to Ride UK, Switzerland, Europe, Asia, for example, and they are around $2.99 each. Some of them are just 99p or $1.99, but they also go on sale every so often. So make sure you take a look at that, because who doesn't want to try and take over the world with a train? Because why not?
Exactly. Why not? And speaking of why not take a quick break to tell you about our first sponsor today. This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by BetterHelp Online Therapy. You can check them out at betterhelp.com/iOS. The best way to kind of think about, if you're trying to grasp sort of what is therapy, how can it help me, the best way to think about it is with some analogies. An example, we get our cars tuned up to prevent bigger issues down the road. We get annual checkups and go to the gym, some of us, to maintain physical wellness and prevent injury and disease. And we do chores regularly, again, some of us, to avoid a giant mess of a house and, well, roaches. Going to therapy is like all of these things. It's routine maintenance for your mental and emotional wellness to prevent bigger issues down the road. Therapy doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It just means that you're investing in yourself to keep your mind healthy. BetterHelp isn't just any online therapy. It's customized for you by offering video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Why invest in everything else and not your mind? This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and iOS Today listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/iOS. That's BetterHelp.com/iOS. Thanks so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. Let's talk about one little news item here, which is that Swift Playgrounds 4, which has been in testing for a little while, was announced quite a bit ago, is finally available. In Rosemary Orchard, this finally means that people can publish apps to the App Store from their iPhones, correct? Or from their iPads, rather.
Yeah, from their iPads. You can use Swift Playgrounds on the iPhone as well. You cannot use Swift Playgrounds, which does exist on the Mac, to create applications. They want you to use Xcode for that. But you can, of course, take advantage of the iPad for this. And so I've connected my 12.9-inch iPad Pro here. And I just clicked. When you go ahead and you're inside of Swift Playgrounds, then you can click on the pencil and create a new app. That's it. That's all you need to do. And well, now you need to figure out how to code. But I've got the app over here on the right-hand side. I've got my code over here on the left. So if I wanted to, I could change this globe to something else. So I now have to think of the word for, or something for a SF symbol off the top of my head. So I am going to try apple and see if I can find. No, there is no apple. Okay, well, I'll put that back to globe. But what you've got is on the left-hand side, you have all of your files, essentially. So inside of an application, you'll have multiple files that make it up. You can change things like the icon. Here, there are some template icons that you can use or placeholders. You can even set capabilities, and you can add things like, for example, Bluetooth access or calendars, camera, contacts, etc. In-app purchases are not one of the things that you can add right now. I don't know if that is something that is missing or something that will be coming in the not too distant future. But if I wanted to change the name of this app so I could say that this is Mikah's app, then I can do that really easily. And done. So now Mikah owns this app and has to decide what we're going to do with it. It is,
No
of course,
pressure.
No pressure at all. It is, of course, something where you're going to want a little bit of help, maybe some documentation. And fortunately, Swift Playgrounds, unlike Xcode, is localized. So it's actually available, and it's got a whole bunch of information in a variety of languages. So if we were picking CarPlay, for example, then this CarPlay information is available, but the user interface of the application of Swift Playgrounds is really well designed for this, essentially. So if I'm looking at my VStack, then I can, if I tap on this bracket here, then I can see it's highlighted the second bracket at the bottom to make it really easy for me to see what I'm doing. So I can go ahead and write an application. I don't quite know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't quite prepared to do something live on air, Mikah. So you might need to give me a couple of minutes to see if I can generate something. But it's pretty good. I've been having a little bit of fun with it, and I've even got a little app idea, which I'm going to try and work on over Christmas to New Year, because it's a very small idea, and it's for next Christmas. Because of course I had
maybe that'll be my resolution. Is to try and code a little app on in Swift Playgrounds. Don't hold me to that. I can't promise it because there's a lot going on, but it would be a lot of fun to say, oh yeah, I published an app and I did it all using Swift Playgrounds 4. So I'll keep that in mind.
If people are interested in learning to code, I would definitely recommend the 100 Days of Swift and 100 Days of Swift UI. Probably the 100 Days of Swift UI is going to be your better option for using with Swift Playgrounds. But it's available. It's online for free. It's just 100 days of Swift challenges teaching you how to build a couple of different apps. I can't guarantee that everything will work in Swift Playgrounds, but 100 Days of Swift and 100 Days of Swift UI from Hacking with Swift are very good intros. They've got lots of examples and code and explanations in there that actually make sense, which is to their credit, because sometimes when you're looking at programming things, it does this, it just does it. Don't ask why. But this is pretty good.
All right, let's move into Shortcuts Corner. Folks, this is the part of the show where you write in with your shortcuts requests, and Rosemary Orchard, the shortcuts expert, provides some shortcuts answers. Did you see I've said shortcuts a bunch of times? The one we're starting off with is something that Rosemary mentioned last week, and I'm so excited to see the outcome. Tell us what's up first here in Shortcuts Corner.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do was, I mentioned at Thanksgiving that there's always one relative, right? There's always one person who accidentally starts a humongous group chat when all they should have done was just individually message every single person to say happy holidays. And I thought, we're the geeks here. We're the people watching iOS Today, or in my case, making iOS Today. There's this great app called Shortcuts. Why won't we just use Shortcuts? So I've got 3 versions of this because, of course, I couldn't just do a little bit of homework. I had to be a SWAT and try and do everything. So I'm going to start with a simple one because it's very, very simple. So to start with, you need to grab your contacts, and then you're going to go through each person from that filter that you found in contacts and just send them a message. And that's it. And so it sends every single person an individual message. Very, very simple. And I'm sure everyone can figure this out. There is a little tip that I will give you. I have left on show when run in this message, which means it's going to pop it up so that you can add something to it to customize it for each person. Now, if you're trying to send this to 150 people, you're probably going to want to toggle that off because otherwise you're going to have to confirm every single message. So you might want to change that, but I've left that on for you. So this is the very simple one. And I thought, well, why don't we add the name of the person that we want to talk to? So I added the name of the person. What we have here is we're just getting our repeat item, and our repeat item is a contact. And so I've got the first name of the person, and that's it. So now if I was sending this to Mikah, it would say, "Happy holidays, Mikah," with a little Christmas tree emoji at the end. And then I thought, okay, we're going nerdy here. Let's go hardcore. I decided that I wanted to send a random message, or a couple of different random messages potentially. So we're doing the same thing, right? We're getting all of our group, we're getting our contacts, and we're going through them. And then I've got this list here, and I've put this list inside of the repeat. People who are familiar with programming be like, why did you put it there? Why didn't you put it somewhere else? It's because one of these options has that first name in it again. So we can still send customized messages with people's names. And then we're getting a random item from this list, and then we're sending that random item to that person. And that's it. That's all we're doing. And it's very, I've tried to keep it very simple so that it's quite basic. You can, of course, get super fancy with this, and you could send them pictures and things like that. But I just wanted to keep it nice and simple because let's face it, if you want to give this to your grandmother and just say, hey, like, select these contacts so that you can send them all a message so that you don't start, World War III with putting me and the cousins in a group chat again, then you can do that. So fingers crossed, this will solve maybe some accidental holiday drama. We'll see. But in the meantime, either way, it was a little bit of fun to just put that together. And we've got all 3 options, which will be available in the show notes.
I love that. I think you did a fantastic job of giving people some different options there with different emoji, being able to set a random message that folks can then go in and change to what they want. And then, yes, most importantly, it stops that horrible thing of sending the group message that then everybody's a part of, and then everybody gets buzzed. And it's just like, get me out of here. All right. David has written in to say, how do I quickly save a link on a web page, i.e. press and hold to get to share sheet from Safari into OmniFocus with a useful title? All right, Rosemary, I have a feeling you've got some magic you can work here for us.
Oh, I do. I definitely do. So what David is talking about, and I'll just quickly share my iPad again, is when you go, and this happens with any kind of link from anywhere, even the standard share sheet. If you tap on share and then you tap OmniFocus, sometimes you get a title, and sometimes you don't. And whenever you're sharing with sort of tapping and holding like this, and then you go share sheet, it usually comes up with just nothing. And that's really not very helpful. And then you have to type whatever it is that you wanted to share with it. So I did a little bit of playing. I did some magic, and I have a option which I believe will work because I've already sent this to David and he was gracious enough to test this out for me. It's called Link to OmniFocus. So we need to use the share sheet for this. So we've got the share sheet. And when you enable the share sheet, by default, it enables it for everything. So I used the clear button over here in the top left, and I got rid of everything. And then I just re-enabled Safari web pages, URLs, and articles, because I didn't want anything else to be trying to use this, just those. And then I said, if there's no input, ask for some text. Because this way you can give it the URL. So say, for example, you've got the URL on your clipboard. Well, this way you can paste it instead if you're running the shortcut for some reason. And then it's going to get an article from that URL. And then it gets the title from the article and it puts the page URL in here. And it also has a little ask each time. So inside of this, I've got both the variable from my get article and another variable, which is down here at the bottom called ask each time. And that means that it will put the title in there, but it's also going to ask me what you want. And this is the closest I can come to replicating the OmniFocus share sheet. So instead of doing what you would do before, which is go to the share sheet, theoretically, I should be seeing somewhere in this list link to OmniFocus. Of course, this is probably right at the bottom somewhere, but it will pop up, open a shortcut modal from the top and then ask you to input some information. I can't see the link there, so I think I'll just leave that for now. But yeah, that solves that problem. So fingers crossed that will help out.
That's fantastic. David, there is your answer. All right. We are going to take another quick break before we come back with one last Shortcuts Corner request. We'll head into feedback and questions and round things out with our app caps. I'm pumped to say that this episode of iOS Today is brought to you by Imperfect Foods. Now, you may be saying, okay, why is Mikah talking about what he's eating? And why is that bringing you this episode of No. Imperfect Foods. It's a brand. Every day, delicious groceries fall through the cracks of our food system simply because of how they look. Imperfect Foods is turning this around by sourcing quirky yet delicious foods and delivering them to you in a way proven to reduce emissions. What if getting your favorite groceries put time back into your week instead of taking it away? With the weather getting colder outside, you can stay cozy inside and let Imperfect Foods deliver you intentionally sourced groceries with just a few clicks. Imperfect Foods is a grocery delivery service that's offering an entire line of sustainable groceries that taste delicious and reduce waste. I mean, did you know that in the last year, 35% of the food supply went unsold or uneaten in the U.S.? Visit imperfectfoods.com to see if they deliver to your area. Once you sign up, you can personalize your weekly grocery order with fresh, seasonal produce, pantry staples, and yummy snacks. Plus, your order will arrive on the same day each week. That's one of my favorite things about it. On average, Imperfect Foods customers save 6 to 8 pounds of food with every order. And unlike on-demand delivery companies, Imperfect delivers weekly by neighborhood, which is a unique model that produces 25 to 75% fewer emissions than individual trips to the grocery store. Plus, you can say goodbye. I love this too. You can say goodbye to packaging guilt because Imperfect Foods is the only national grocery delivery company that makes it easy to return your packaging after every order. So I got to try Imperfect Foods. I was so excited. You know, I put in my sort of preferences. Hey, I like to eat organic if possible. And I'd like to try out these kind of different grocery packs. And they said, hey, your delivery day is going to be a Thursday, I think it was. And you'll come in a couple of days before and see what we've picked out for you. You can make choices. You can make changes to those choices if you want to, and then we'll send it your way. So I hopped in, I took one thing out, I think, and replaced it with something. And I got the notification, hey, on that Thursday, your order's out for delivery. I hopped into, they've got this great map app where you can see where the delivery is, and then it'll be coming to you. And I thought it had this little Imperfect Foods van on there. And I thought, okay, they're probably using, On Track or one of these delivery services. And so I, expected that at some point that On Track would make the delivery. Lo and behold, I look out my peephole and there is an Imperfect Foods van, a true Imperfect Food van, parked in front of my house, ready to drop off my groceries. I thought, oh, wow, wow, that's so cool. So they dropped off the groceries. I brought them inside and it was so fun. I pop open the box. I pop open that sort of metallic inside that keeps everything cool. And I'm just pulling stuff out. Ooh, this is awesome. This is awesome. It was right around Thanksgiving. I got a pumpkin pie in my box. What? There were all sorts of delicious vegetables, different produce, rainbow carrots, Brussels sprouts, which I love. I have a perfect recipe for Brussels sprouts that I use. And so I was excited to get that in the box. And incredibly cost-effective prices. It what I liked is that it kind of reduced the pressure a little bit, because I used to do some different sort of recipe delivery services. And those were always like, you better make sure you get these used right away and you have to do it in just this way. This is like opening me up to so many different options, so many different choices. It was really a lot of fun. I went with the meat and poultry pack, which was an added thing. And so I got some, chicken and I can't remember what all, pork, I think, and ground chicken as well. So much fun, just like opening the box and seeing what was inside, because I sort of just skimmed through. I ended up getting, a second box then after that. And again, so much fun to open up, see what was inside, and restock the refrigerator as well as my pantry. But what I love that makes this so cool is that Imperfect Foods will let you take that, the mylar, whatever it is, that metallic reflective stuff, and the cool packs that they put inside. You can leave those out when your next Imperfect Foods delivery order is made, and they will take them, and they will properly make use of them or recycle them or reuse them, whatever they need to do. Those will get use. So it's so nice knowing that they don't have that waste. Imperfect Foods, super cool. And I want to say too, some people might be going, okay, but like, am I going to get a potato that's like moldy? That's not what we're working with here. That's not how this is. These are just, in some cases, odd looking vegetables. In my case, there weren't even that many odd looking vegetables. They were just properly sourced vegetables and other produce. So right now, Imperfect Foods is offering our listeners 20% off your first 4 orders when you go to imperfectfoods.com and use the promo code. It's very simple, iOS. Again, 20% off your first 4 orders. That's up to an $80 value at imperfectfoods.com when you use the promo code iOS. Please use that promo code. Not only does it save you money, but also lets them know, hey, Imperfect Foods, Mikah was talking about you. And I remembered, and I got some groceries, and I'm happy, and thank you so much. And that's imperfectfoods.com, promo code iOS. Very cool. So worth checking out. I also have to say, you don't want it anymore. You don't have to call anybody. You don't have to chat anybody. They make it very easy to cancel. So even if you're thinking this isn't a good long-term solution, get those 4 orders. Why not? And try it out. And then if you decide, nah, not for me, cancel, no problem. It's so easy to do if you need to do that. I love that Imperfect Foods, like from the ground up, they're trying to be responsible, sustainable, and you can tell there's integrity, which is, I think, incredibly important. So thank you, Imperfect Foods. And let's head back to the show. Another David, a different David, has another shortcuts request for Rosemary. This says, shortcut for Teams status. Hi, Rosemary and Mikah. I've been looking at shortcuts and was looking to change the status of Microsoft Teams so that it goes offline when I'm not working. I managed to find a way to get the hour of the current date or time to trigger the shortcut to say if it is later than 17, which is 5 o'clock, and again at 8 to turn it back on. What I couldn't find was a way to access Teams actions for changing the status. The problem I have is that at work, I sign off of my PC and Teams goes offline, unless another device is still available. As my company phone just sits in my bag unless someone calls me on it or I am visiting another site, I never change the status. At the next level, I'd look at weekends and my calendar to see if I am on holiday so that it is marked offline then as well. But just getting at the status would be a huge first step. Thanks in advance, David. This is an advanced request, and I think, Rosemary, you might have an answer for us here.
Yeah, I do. So I looked, and unfortunately, Teams does not have shortcut support, just at all, which is very sad for those of us who use Microsoft Teams, including myself. But there is something that you can do. Now, I am just going to share, actually showing my iPad, but I'm making it, there we go. So I have here cheesy jokes. But what I did earlier today is I went into Teams on my iPhone and I actually figured out what we need to do. So inside of Teams, you go to settings at the top left, and then under notifications, you can set quiet hours for your notifications. And you might be thinking, wait, this doesn't use shortcuts. And you're not wrong. It does not. But if you use this to change the settings for your Microsoft Teams app on your phone, then outside of those quiet hours, it will mark you not as offline, but it will mark you as away. And basically what it will do is it just means that Teams will look at your phone. And if you actively pick up your phone and you start using Teams, then it'll be fine. But other than that, it just shows a little ZZ next to you in the top left-hand corner until it decides that you've woken back up again. But yes, so in Teams, go to the settings in your profile in the top left, and then notifications, and then block notifications during quiet time until whatever the right time is. So my quiet hours are set from 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. And I have quiet days for Sunday and Saturday. Now, this does not handle holidays, which was David's other request, which is a shame. However, David, if you use the calendar in Teams and you put in an event to say that you are not there as an all-day event, then it will deal with that for you. So I think I have an answer, and it doesn't use shortcuts. I'm not quite sure what happened there, Micah. Is it the end of the world? Or is it just not Shortcuts Corner? What?
I just checked, and it looks like the world is still carrying on, but
okay, good,
it is a little...
Good.
Yeah. It's a little weird, but we did it. All right.
Yeah, we did.
Let's move into feedback and questions here. We've got one question from James, who writes in, Good evening, James. I've just listened to the latest episode of iOS Today and thought I'd tell you about SyncGene. I've been using SyncGene for a few years now to sync contact and calendars between different accounts, and it works great. Hope this helps. SyncGene, a way to synchronize your calendars, your tasks, and your contacts automatically across iPhone, Android, Outlook, Gmail, and apps. Interesting.
Yeah. So we had a request a little while ago, which is how we sync contacts between, for example, a Google account and an iCloud account, which is quite useful to have if you ever do end up on another device and you're able to log into Gmail and you want to send an email, but you don't have the email address. Can be quite tricky. So SyncGene looks like in their free plan, they will do a manual sync for every 30 days. They sync up to 2 sources, 500 contacts, and they can share a calendar. And that's their free plan. Their premium plan is $5.83 a month. So the app that I recommended, which I believe was Gcontact Sync, which doesn't look amazing but works, is going to be a cheaper bet for you. But if you are looking for something that will just sync automatically, then SyncGene, as recommended by James, looks to be a good solution.
Beautiful. Thank you, James. Michael writes in, I was wondering why when I delete an iMessage from my iPhone, it doesn't delete from my Apple Watch. My watch is the new Series 7. Thank you, Michael. This is a tough one because you expect that deleting a message from one device will delete it from others. And sometimes it seems like those things do sync, and sometimes it seems like those things don't sync. Oftentimes this is a sync issue, but I have noticed that it is particularly the case on messages on Apple Watch. And so I do wonder if messages on Apple Watch has the same level of iCloud syncing that our other devices have. I don't know what your experience has been, Rosemary.
Yeah, so my experience has been pretty much the same, where I'm not quite sure why, but deleting a message from one thing doesn't always delete it from another. And at the moment, I've got a very strange issue where my favorites in messages on almost all of my devices are the exact same 9, but the favorites in messages, the pinned people at the top on my work Mac, and only my work Mac, are completely different. Like there's just 3 people there and they are not people who I've had pinned in quite some time. And so I'm not quite sure what's going on with messages. I think maybe something's just a little bit up there. But it is one of those things where I'm afraid there's not really anything that we can do to help. It is tricky to try and do anything in messages on the Apple Watch, I have to say, aside from replying with your voice or sending back an emoji or one of the canned responses, which don't forget, in the Watch app, you can edit your canned responses. But deleting a message, I would have hoped it would delete everywhere. So it should, but I guess maybe it isn't for some reason. Just make sure that you have updated your watch recently and you've got updates installed on your iPhone and everything as well. And if you've got all the updates everywhere, don't forget, you can always try turning it off and turning it back on again.
Indeed. That is always an option for folks to make. All right. I can hear the music. It's time for our app caps. Folks, this is the part of the show where we wear silly caps atop our heads to honor our picks of the week. These may be apps or gadgets that we are using, that we enjoy, that we want to share with you out there. And to say huzzah, hurrah to these apps, we put something atop our heads. Rosemary Orchard, tell me about the cap atop your head, the magnificent cap atop your head, and then tell me about your app cap.
Yes. So somebody in the chat room did notice, yes, Mikah and I were wearing hats earlier. We were both wearing red Santa hats because, it's that time of year. But I've exchanged my red Santa hat for the glory, and that has to be the word I use for this, of the green Christmas tree made of tinsel. It's tinsel. There's gold tinsel in there as well. There's some pom-poms looking like baubles on there. It's crazy. It's pointy. It's a hat. It does not have a star. Oh, it does have a star on the top. I forgot. It's got a star on the top. It's a little difficult to see because I'm quite tall and it's sticking off the top of the camera. But there we go. That's life for you. So my app cap today is one I would usually use on the iPhone, but unfortunately I'm having some difficulty sharing my iPhone screen. So I'll share it on the iPad. And Tickmate is a 1-bit journal. And basically it's to help you try and keep track of things that you want to build up doing or stop doing, and occurrences of things as well. And it's a free app from the App Store that you can download. And I was thinking, with the new year coming, I know people are always looking for ways to keep on track of these things. This might be a good option. So when you go to set the app up, it comes up with several different recommendations for you. Now, you might have just seen some yellow and green appearing in the background. That's because I use this on my iPhone and it syncs it through iCloud. So that stuff is available on my iPhone and my iPad, and it just syncs in to everywhere for me, which is great. So what you've got some daily habits, some positive things and some negative things. So for example, didn't smoke is reversed. So it's looking specifically for the days that you didn't do it and classifying those as good. There's also occasional tasks like backed up files, washed water bottle, washed hair, things like that. As it is, I think I am going to go with exercise because I'm probably not doing enough of that. But the good news is I have ballet class tonight. So I will be able to just tap that and fill it in. And that's it. All you do to say that you've done something or not done something is tap on the square. Now, on the iPhone, of course, it's a much narrower view, but it's pretty simple. It's a way of keeping track of things. If you upgrade, then you can have groups of tasks. And if you want to, you can get rid of one of them by just turning it off. Or you can tap onto any of your tasks that you're keeping track of and then use the delete option to get rid of it. So I've got reading and apparently washing my hair. That should have actually been cleaning the apartment, but I forgot that I had set it up as that. But there we go. So I have a couple of options. It's been working pretty well for me. Slacked off a little bit last week, but I'm getting back on the ball with my reading this week, which is pretty great. And this is SyncMate. It's free to download and give it a whirl. Might be useful for some of your New Year's resolutions.
Very cool. I will have to give that a go for sure. The cap I'm wearing atop my head was actually one of the birthday gifts from my mother. This is a baseball cap that is also, it sort of morphs into a Santa hat. It's got a green bill. It says Happy Holidays. It's got the standard sort of adjustable strap in the back as a baseball cap does. But then there's a Santa bauble across the top, and it's even got those vent holes that you get with a baseball cap. That they are done up in green embroidery. So it is just a delightful Happy Holidays baseball cap, or as they call them these days, as the kids are calling them, dad hat. That is what I am wearing atop my head, and I'm very happy about it. I'm also very happy about my app cap this year because my app cap is this year, I said. I'm very happy about my app cap this time around because this is a finally moment in the sense that finally Pixelmator Photo has come to the iPhone. So we've talked before about Pixelmator Photo. It is the app that lets you, that is incredible at photo editing. Right. It is an app that has built-in machine learning for automatically making adjustments to a photo, for editing it, for actually super scaling an image if you need to. And all of that functionality that was once only available on the iPad has now come to the iPhone. So again, this works a lot like the iPad version. You've got your basic options up at the top, including that machine learning magic wand. Tapping, I'll go ahead and turn it off really quick just so you can see the previous image. So the before image is maybe not the proper white balance. If I tap on ML, it runs that machine learning and makes adjustments to the photo, including color balance, but also several other things. And I'll show that in just a second. The next option up at the top is the sort of correcting option. If you've got something in the photo that you don't like in there, you can swipe on that area of the screen and remove it, and it will try to kind of cover it up, patch it to the best of its ability. There's the crop option, which has some different things, including cropping, straightening a photo, and shifting the perspective if it's a little bit sort of wonky in the perspective that you've set up. But there's also an ML crop. ML crop means machine learning crop, meaning that it will look at the photo and the composition and try to make a crop that looks good for that particular photo. You've got lots of different options, including rotating the photo and flipping the photo. So I'll tap out of that crop option. And then now I'm going to tap into the fourth button here, which is the menu and settings option, or the menu sliders option. And this shows you, if I swipe up from the bottom, what ML features what ML filters have taken place. I'm going to swipe it back down though just for a second so you can see that by default tapping that button gives you access to the different filters that are available. These are kind of your standard sort of Instagram-y filters that you can add. So you can see the different options. You can tap on any of them to add that filter to the photo. But if you swipe up again, then you will get these more in-depth options. So up in the top left is a nice histogram. Tapping on that lets you change from RGB to luminance if you want to. And then now I can see white balance was adjusted using machine learning. If that little yellow icon is highlighted, if I tap that off, you can see it goes back to normal. Tapping it again will shift it back to where it was before. The blue switch, the blue toggle is for turning on or off that adjustment. You can make those adjustments yourself. It made adjustments to lightness in the photo. It made adjustments to hue and saturation. It made adjustments using selective color. It made adjustments to the color balance. And then from there are options that you can add. I can make adjustments to the levels and the curves. If there's a specific color in the photo that I don't want, I can, for example, let's change this maroon to something else just so you can kind of see how it works. And we'll change it to, I don't know, another green color. And so this is, an ugly kind of way to do this. You can up the range to really make it, make those adjustments if you want to. And then, of course, the intensity slider to do that as well. You can sharpen the photo and you can add grain to the photo, making adjustments to the size of the grain and the intensity of the grain as well. And then there are some other options. You can go to a specific adjustment. You can show presets. You can show the film strip, which the film strip is just what photos you have available. And then in the again in the top right, there's the three dots to share it. If you want to quickly share it out to a friend after you've made that adjustment. If you want to export it, that will let you choose different types. You can do the HEIF, which is the compressed version from Apple, JPEG, PNG, a TIFF file, and a photo file, which is a Pixelmator photo file. And Then you can make adjustments to the quality and the scale depending on which export option you use. There are also options for copying the adjustments so that if you want to sort of do a group adjustment to a bunch of photos, you can. There's match colors, super resolution, and denoise, which are all machine learning features. Match colors lets you compare between another photo and the photo that you're working on and try to get that photo to match in color and in feel. Super resolution will upscale your image by quite a bit using machine learning technology. And then denoise is if you've got kind of a really noisy photo and you want to remove some of that noise, that's what denoise will do. Show info will give you information about what the different, I can't even think what that's called now, EXIF information that's built in. And then settings, of course, lets you make some adjustments to snapping. You can extend the values, meaning that if those sliders can go past certain amounts, they will. And then background color. So if you don't like the dark gray and you wanted white or black or some other color, then you could do that very easily. So all the things you would expect. And then I also love in the top left corner, there's a comparing option. So you can swipe that compare option to see, here's how the photo looked before machine learning. Here's what the machine learning features did to the photo. I like to use Pixelmator Photo because I am not a photographer and don't know I don't know what I should do to a photo. And so I like to have like a base and then make adjustments there based on what I like. So what I would usually do is take photos with the incredible camera on my iPhone and then wait for them to upload to iCloud and come back down into my iPad. Or I would, in some cases, airdrop from my iPhone to my iPad and just have duplicates simply because I wanted to use Pixelmator Photo on my iPad to give that base adjustment to all of the photos and then go from there. Now I can do that all on my iPhone, which is so nice. And folks, this is available for $3.99 right now in the App Store. This is a ridiculous price for this incredibly powerful app. If you don't have Pixelmator Photo, go buy it right now for $3.99. It's a steal. You absolutely should buy this app if you want to make adjustments to your photos and have them look good. Pixelmator Photo continues to just blow my mind. On the Mac, it's incredible. It's got this new feature that lets you do automatic transparency to where it can select something in the foreground, and it does it on the level of what Adobe's Photoshop can do, which is just beyond. So it's a no-brainer. $3.99 in the App Store for your iPhone. You need this app. Absolutely. Yeah, that's my app cap. And that brings us to the end of this episode of iOS Today. Next week's episode will be a best of episode. So we will see you after that. If you have questions, feedback, Shortcuts Corner requests, send those to iostoday@twit.tv. iOS Today records live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So you can tune in to twit.tv/live at that time to check us out. But we think the best way to get the show is by subscribing to the show. That way, if it is a best ofs episode or if it's the regularly scheduled episode, you will get it when it's available. You do that by going to twit.tv/IOS. There you can choose to subscribe to audio or video, depending on which you prefer. We think the video version of the podcast is the best version, but we do try to make the podcast as descriptive as possible so that the audio version is just as enjoyable. You can subscribe across Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We try to be in all of the places that people listen to podcasts. And now's a great time to mention that if you would like to get all of our shows ad-free, you can by subscribing to Club Twit for $7 a month. You get every single Twitch show with no ads. You'll actually get, it's kind of fun, your own little feeds for each of the shows. So you can add that to your podcast player of choice and they'll be ad-free. You also get access to the Twit Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find elsewhere. Outtakes, behind the scenes. I think there was some yesterday as we were recording the the TWiT holiday special with Ant Pruitt, Jason Howell, Leo Laporte, and myself. And by yesterday, I mean as we are recording this yesterday. And also access to the members-only Discord server. If you're wondering what is the members-only Discord server, well, if you've ever used Microsoft Teams or Slack, then you'll be familiar with that kind of setup. It's a place to chat with all of your fellow Club TWiT members, but also those of us here at TWiT. Rosemary is a very active participant in the Discord, and I should also mention, this is a great time with the Discord. I failed to point out that if you own Pixelmator Photo for iPad, then it will be available to you for free on the iPhone. So people who have not purchased, or people who have purchased the version for the iPad, you'll get the iPhone version for free. Thank you, John, for mentioning that in the Discord. And we had some folks who said, hey, I just want to support certain shows directly, and I'm not really into the whole kit and caboodle. So if you're not interested in Club TWiT, which is at twit.tv/clubtwit, you can also check out our Apple Podcasts subscription. For $2.99 a month, you just go into Apple Podcasts, you find the audio version of iOS Today, and there'll be a little button to subscribe, and you'll get the ad-free audio version of the podcast for $2.99. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow you online and check out all of your great work, where should they go to do so?
The best place to find me is over at rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to all the things and all the places where I am online. Or if you're free, you can find me in the Club TWiT Discord, where I'm regularly, even if I'm not writing in the iOS Today channel, I'm always keeping on top of what's there. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at Rosemary Orchard. Mikah, what about you?
I am at Mikah Sargent on Mania social media network, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I am most active online. Folks, thank you for tuning into this episode of iOS Today. We will see you very soon, but in the meantime, enjoy this episode. Enjoy the time with your family. Have a beautiful rest of your year, and we can't wait to come back with iOS Today after our best ofs episode. Goodbye.
So you got yourself the brand new latest and greatest iPhone or Samsung smartphone because you heard about all of the beautiful photography those things can create, but for some reason you're just not quite getting it done when you try to make your photos. Or you got yourself a brand new camera because you were interested in getting started in photography, but your little new inexpensive camera still isn't quite cutting it. Well, you need to check out my show, Hands on Photography, here on TWiT. I'm going to show you how to be a better photographer and a better post-processor, and quite frankly, just help you get the most out of that new camera that's either on your phone or the brand new one that you just got for your birthday or gifts or what have you, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So head on over to twit.tv/hop, that's twit.tv/HOP, and subscribe today.